Hey everyone. So this one's going to be an interview I'm doing with Malena Crawford. And this is about what she channeled as the seven rays. So this is also on my personal Facebook. So this is a spiritual one. So if you're not into it, jump off now, because I know not everyone in the religious circle can handle all the truths outside the Bible, although the Bible's good too. But I just have more than one book. Actually, Malena's going to talk a little bit about, she used to be very much like the only answers were religious ones, but now that she's gotten into the spiritual world, how that's opened it up and what she's able to contact and download and channel from the Holy Spirit as well. So that's going to be a really interesting view. So let me add Malena on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so this is going to be really fun just because I know Malena because my real estate investing platform, but she came on over and we've already done another interview. So if you go to Lisa Soul Level Healing, which is my platform on YouTube, you'll see we did another one. So Malena Crawford is an author. She's an amazing real estate investor. Who lives in Maryland. And good evening, Malena. You can tell I'm really excited about this.
I'm super excited. We always have a good time. So I'm really excited to see what Spirit has in store.
Right. We're always guided, right? So I just want to start off by saying, so Malena, okay, so we're going to get into it. But basically, Malena woke up like every morning at the same time and started writing this book directly from God. Okay. It just is what it is. And some of us who are really tuned in are able to, I actually woke up and wrote a book like this. Like some of us who are really tuned in and have done that work to go higher and higher in our ascension, you do get the ability at random times to just wake up, and in you are these words that just need to be put on paper. And there are words that need to go out to the world. And you have been given this gift. You have been given this directive, this mission. And some of us do it and some of us don't. Okay. I'm a doer. Malena's a doer. Okay. Yeah. And so with that, that's the premise of sort of how we're starting these conversations. And with that, I'd like to ask you, Malena, can you talk a little bit about your background? I love the fact that you were very much into the church, which, like I said, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying sometimes I find them harder to accept me more than I accept them, right? And talk about the fact that you're in the church, but you also embrace this other aspect of spirituality that there's truths outside of that. And then we'll get into the book and what you channeled about the seven rays. And yes, because we're Black, we're here for a specific reason.
Absolutely.
If you're white, you're here for a specific reason. And if you're Asian, you're here for a specific reason. And she's going to tell us about what she was able to channel about that. And FYI, I went into this about being melanated, what that means, what our role is here, who we're here to actually help save. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Black people who they've kept in subjugation, because if we really knew our power, the whole world would be lifted up. I know that might be hard for some of you to understand, but it's not. It's part of what she was channeling. And it's always good to get all these, because we're only able to channel so much. So it's really good to get pieces from all these different sources. And then it builds a whole very, very logical story about what's going on. So can you talk about your past coming, being in the church, but going outside of it and what you think?
Yeah. So 2007 is when I kind of came into my spiritual journey, adventure, whatever you want to call it. And it started with the movie The Secret, believe it or not. And so my sisters were telling me about this movie, The Secret, and the law of attraction. And my first inclination was, this is against God. This is not Christian. This is not, what they teach us in church. And that started the catalyst for my journey. So I had a dark night of the soul. Hello, everyone. I see some comments. I had a dark night of the soul, like one of those on your knees. I was just like, what is my purpose, God? What is it? And the thing that I heard was heal yourself and heal women. And so I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? Like, I don't want to go back to school to be a doctor. Like, can you give me something? So then I went to a Qigong class. It was the first thing I saw the next morning, a Qigong class, which is energetic medicine.
Yeah, spirit.
And I had, I'm still in this Christian box. And I don't know about this, I don't know about that, but I'm in pain. And at this point, I'm going to try anything.
Okay.
So in this class, he had us to actually feel and sense our energy in our solar plexus. And that was the first time I was in relationship with my energy. It was the first time I was in relationship with something beyond the logical.
Yeah.
So that's what shifted everything for me. I started
you could feel it, right?
I could feel it. Yeah. I needed the visceral experience to, to kind of disprove, all of my doubts and fears. So that started everything. And then, of course, when you started, a flood of like Holy Spirit is just waiting for you. And so a flood of information came in, a flood of healing came in for my own personal growth. And that's what started everything.
Let's write a little bit more context on the banner so they know what we're talking about.
Okay.
You know what I liked about that? First, that it's spirit, but when you said you worked with your solar plexus as an angelic medium and channel, I work with every chakra, not just the 7 you know about, but the Earth Star chakra, your Soul Star chakra. There's so many. And what I love, because I find most melanated people were energy readers, right? Some of us might be more clairvoyant than others, but we read energy. That's why even if we're not spiritual, we're so scared of ghosts, because even if we didn't see it, we sensed it on that higher level. We sensed it on that subconscious level. And that's what makes us scared, especially if you haven't gone into the studies or the practice to not be scared of it. But we feel energy. And so what's cool is that you started it and you saw what I did. Like, I could literally feel my energy. I can work with my chakra. I can open my chakra. I can honestly push my chakra out to you and you can feel it. Right? You'll be like, oh, I feel it now. And that is something at that higher level that most people aren't aware of.
Yeah, we're capable of so much. I think they say we only use 10% of our brain capacity. It's just amazing what we can do when we stop being afraid and allow ourselves to really step into our power and get curious about it.
So tell me about that moment when you were going through a lot of turmoil, especially with all the police brutality. Black people getting shot in the street, murdered, no recourse, right? Tell me about the moment how that spurred you into like the hurt and trying to relieve that.
Yeah, so it happened when Trayvon Martin's murder got off. And I was livid. I was pissed at God. In 2013, I believe it was, how do we still not get justice? How is this still happening to us? And so that started everything. That question, that demand of God started everything. And like you said, every morning, like clockwork, at 3:00 in the morning, I woke up and received all of this information. I was told where to go for information that I needed to research more of. I was told the places that I would go. I went to Nigeria. I went to Sapelo Island in South Carolina to learn about, the Geechee culture. Spirit had me going everywhere to get these truths that we need to hear and to act on. And it became a novel.
Yeah. Now, so we did another video on my Soul Level Healing channel about her book. And in the book, she wrote a fiction book regarding, tell us like the overall overview, but then we're going to go into the 7 rays, because I actually thought that was so interesting on like why we're here, why we are here on Earth under Matrix, okay, in this biological matrix that can be manipulated by each of us if we step into our power, if we understand what it is. So
yeah, so the book is all about, it's a hero's journey, and it's all about a woman who started with absolute brokenness. Absolute brokenness. She loses everything. She has a really shaky identity. She's got issues with her skin color, with her race. And so, but then she finds out that she's part of this ancient sect. She's part of this divine plan to bring healing to all of humanity. But it has to begin with the truth of Black people on Earth.
So yeah. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to find out what we're here for as melanated beings?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say before you start, people have always tried to place me. They've always tried to place me because I'm a Black woman, because I'm Black, because of whatever. They've always tried to place me as beneath them, as less smart than them, less capable. Now, if you've been following me, you know none of that's true.
Right.
They didn't know it either. So much to their demise, because they all found out the hard way that my spirit always knew the importance of who I am and what I'm here for. And that I had greatness inside of me. It's very interesting. So, you know, coming into this new knowledge and finding out about the reality of the purpose here, about the reality of being a melanated being, which I always knew like Black was beautiful. And I've always held that. But like, I've always just felt, I don't know, there's, you know, like everyone has their thing. And so when you started talking about that, I just lit up because I was just like, oh, that what was inside of me. That even though they kept trying to tell me that I wouldn't be smart enough, good enough, attractive enough, why I just never, I always knew it wasn't like, who are you talking to? You know what I mean? Like, why do you think you're better than me? I don't understand that because inside I've always felt this greatness. So that is why I'm always extra excited about this, because Malena really channeled and put into words where that certainty came from, that even though this physical world is trying to use institutionalized racism to keep me in a certain class, it never, like, it never was going to work, at least not with my spirit.
Right.
So let's talk about like, okay, so she's here and she's like, she has to heal, but she needs to know why we're here. Let's talk about why we're here. Why are white people here? Why are Black people here?
Let's talk about it. So, okay, so I'm going to preface this with this.
Okay.
There is no hierarchy of human beings.
There isn't.
This illusion of division was something that was implanted into human consciousness to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
So I want to make that perfectly clear. Everything I say is not going to be about Black people, we are better than, et cetera, et cetera. Every soul has had the experience of being in Black skin, the experience of being in white skin, and so on and so forth. So I just want to put that out there because, you know, it's very easy for the ego to try to use that to further divide us. And we're all about healing and moving forward. So we are here. So the 7 rays of God is what I'm going to talk about. There are 3 layers to this, though. So for today's purposes, I'm going to share just the 7 aspects of God. But there are 7 soul personalities which go with these aspects I'm going to share. And there are 7 root races that go with these aspects that I'm going to share. But I realize that it can be very complicated and we only have an hour. So we have to peel away at the onion. So there are, if you think of God as the whole, God is omnipotent, God is white light, God is love, all things that are good. Think of it as a white prism, like a white crystal prism that contains all the colors, right? And so if you imagine shining the sun through that prism, it's going to show a flexion of different colors, right? It's going to show you a rainbow of colors. It's going to show you violet and red and pink and all that. So think of that prism is your God aspect, but those colors that you see are different principles of God on earth that he wants us as souls to anchor here on earth. And that's why we're all here, to anchor different aspects of God here on earth. But Black people, we are unique in that we are the seed race. So now they call us Black, now they call us, African or whatever. But when the races were seeded, we were called Syrians, we were called Lumerians. And so we're the alpha. In us is the alpha ray. And the alpha ray is all about freedom, God power, and will.
Yeah.
Freedom, God power, and will. So if you think about the Black experience, and that's the alpha, we are the beginning. And then the seventh ray, the last one, is the omega. It begins with us spiritually, and it ends with us spiritually. Not egotistically and materially, but in the spiritual vibration, it ends with us. So the first ray is the blue ray. And that's all about the aspects that I just said: freedom, God power, and God will. The last ray, the omega ray, is the violet ray. And the violet ray is about the same things: freedom, faith, God's will, but also mercy. Having mercy towards humanity, right? So we are here to give that to humanity. The slavery that we went through, and this was my biggest question to God: what was slavery all about? What is all of this injustice? We are here to be an example for all of humanity of how to anchor this on the earth. So when we're learning a lesson individually, let's say you decided you wanted to learn unconditional love. What's the first thing that's going to show up when you declare that? Everything unlike love: chaos, heartbreak, drama.
Yeah.
Help you anchor the trials to help you anchor that lesson. So the same is true with the different rays of God. So when you look at Black people, you see the very opposite of freedom. You see the very opposite of power. And the reason why that I was given for slavery being in America, this is a melting pot of all humanity. You will see every single ray represented here. Every single eyeball from all countries is here. This is the place for that drama to happen, so that all of humanity can evolve, so that all human souls can evolve if they get the lesson. And a lot of our it's not just white brothers and sisters, there's a lot of anti-Blackness, around the globe. And so they're not getting the lesson. They're seeing us having our divine tribulations, and they're saying, oh, they're less than, oh, they're cursed, or et cetera, et cetera. But that's all in error, of course, and it's keeping them stuck.
Let's talk about keeping them stuck, because I talked about the melanin.
Yeah.
The melanin is what you need to ascend. It's melanin.
Yeah.
So the whole goal at the very beginning, at least this is what I channeled when I was asking these questions, was, your frequency is determined by how much melanin you have. The darker the melanin, the higher your frequency to travel, when you pass in this life, in and out of this earth sphere. However, there have been some people who have been stuck who don't have melanin.
Yeah.
And the powers that be, who are a little bit more advanced, have been using them to keep them fat and rich, and using them as cattle. And the idea at the beginning was we would come down here to assist so they would get melanin, so we would interbreed. We would be everyone, and through birth and subsequent birth with people mixing with the Black race, they would all have enough melanin in the DNA to be able to finally leave. So everyone always wanting to go to heaven and not sure if they could make it when they die. Well, a lot of people have been in a vicious karmic reincarnation cycle without the ability, without the higher frequency, without the melanin to receive. So I'm going to say this: bathe in the Christ's blood, like melanin. And when the Tower of Babel tells the story great, when people were getting all together, and then all of a sudden they struck it down, and everyone started delineating. Well, that was another interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want these people to leave because then they're not going to work for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So having a Jesus that looks white, having so many negative energy, having the subjugation of the one race of people who have the ability to give you the melanin on the spiritual level so your frequency will be higher is the goal. That's the spiritual warfare. You'll never leave. I can go in and out of the sphere. I do it already. Okay. But other people, unless you reach that higher level of ascension, as when I asked the angelic guides about it, unless you've reached that higher level of ascension, just on your own through your own spiritual awakening, you need the melanin to be able to finally leave. So heaven is the galaxy. Heaven is cosmos. So when you die, you have the chance to freely leave, not come right back in to start all over again, waiting for the chance for it to happen. So to me, when I heard that, it made sense.
Yeah.
It's everything I saw, which is like, yeah, you're trying to put me below you, but I don't know why you think that. But and then just the ability to not hate. You know what I mean? Like, I talk a lot about racial issues, but like you said at the beginning, it's not that one is above the other, and I think the reason my words can go out is because I don't sit there and say we need to blame white or Asian society for our place. Like, my words are generally, we need to recognize who and what is going on, who and what they are to us, and we need to do our own thing, right? And that's why I think my words resonate, because it's not, when I go on I was in a times.com article, I was in a Motley Fool, when I talk about the fact that I target Black people, it's because I talk about it like, I'm not blaming you, but I'm just saying this is what we need to acknowledge about your culture. And so we can do our own thing. And it's easier when you're not sitting there attacking them for your problems, So I'm all with you on, hey, like, let's not do the hierarchy, but let's just acknowledge what the truths are and like get busy on our purpose. And some people are a little salty. You're like, you're saying we're here to like save and give melanin to white people. Like, some people did not. We're like a little salty. And I was like, yeah, from even the biblical teachings that got a little like, and from what I channeled, from what you channel, we're 3 different sources. They all have that same vein that you need that Christos blood. You need that melanin.
Yeah. Well, another thing with the different rays, like for instance, there's a ray number 6, and it's the devotees ray, right?
Let's talk about that.
The ray of the devotee. Oh, you want to talk about it later or now?
Go for it.
Okay. So it's the ray of the devotee. So you would equate that with like the Crusaders. You would equate that with the Zealots. You would equate that with people who say, I want to make America great, no matter how much pain I inflict to people who don't look like me. You see what I'm saying? And so there's always a flip side of the different aspects that we're here to anchor. So in its beauty, Ray 6 is the devotion of like Mother Mary when she was devoted to her son. But on the other side, the devotee is devoted to whatever they feel is right. Whatever their ideal is. So when you think about racial unrest as well, we can think about it as like, what's the shadow of this ray that's in play, And even though that can be active in any one of us, it depends on whatever drama, whatever race is playing or whatever group is playing. Because of course we know, you can be of the Black race and not think like the Black community, whatever that, because we're not a monolith,
Yeah. I don't think like any Black people.
There you go.
Just put it out there. I always been like, no, I don't do that. I don't know. That's cool.
There you go. So I'm sure there are plenty of white people, Asian people that don't believe that Black people are beneath, that actually can see and celebrate the beauty that we bring.
That's their spirit. That's their spirit. Because the program is for us to be less than. That is the program. That is the subliminal. That is the active. That is the agenda. So like I said, if you know that we're here to all give them the melanin so they can leave, and they don't want you to leave so you can continue to be their cattle, that is the agenda. So when I meet people like that, I always go, look how strong your spirit is to remove or combat the programming in this society for you to view me a certain way, and your spirit said, I refuse. That's actually, I literally look at people like that. Okay, you were strong. Your spirit was strong enough.
Very strong.
Your spirit knew. Very strong. Yeah, the program is pretty intense. So let's talk about the different rays, because I remember when you were saying, you're like, well, did you know, like, I thought it was interesting how like each big racial group has like something they're bringing to the rays, and I actually thought that was really cool to hear. Because when I heard you, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I've seen.
Yeah. The thing about race, though, so in our culture, we think of it as black and white. You either have white people, Asian people, black people, you know, but it just wasn't like that when the races were seated. So when Sirius came in, with the Lemurians came in, Atlanteans came in, Arcturans came in, it was very diverse and it was very mixed. So you might see different aspects of what I'm about to share in other races.
Yeah.
So for instance, ray number 2, and they're all, do you know what an ascended master is, right? Okay.
So you can explain it to the audience.
So an ascended master is a being who lives here on earth, just like us, but they were able to get through all of their many, many human lessons, right? And they were able to ascend. They were able to basically not have to come back here anymore because they got all the lessons that their soul set out to get. So in every ray, there is an ascended master who like sponsors the ray. So for instance, the ray number 1 is sponsored by Ascended Master Moria. Ray number 2 is sponsored by Ascended Master Cthulhu. And ray number 2 is called the Ray of Love. The Ray of Love Wisdom specifically. Yes, I took notes so y'all get like the most detailed information possible. Okay. So ray number 2 seeks unity through sympathy, right? They're supposed to have sympathy and empathy for their fellow humans. But you know who ray number 2 is most aligned to? The so-called Caucasian race. You know, who right now we're having a challenge with us versus them sharing resources. We should have the lion's share of the resources because we're better, that sort of thing. So when I said there's shadow in every aspect, that's their shadow right now. It's really coming into love and really using their love wisdom to evolve. So they can either make the choice to continue to put us down, to continue to subjugate us and try to hold us back, but you're holding back freedom from everyone when you do that. You're holding back God's power and you're holding back God's will when you hold back the children of the first ray and the 7th ray. So yeah.
What are the consequences to that that you've channeled? Because for me, I'm seeing a lot of what's going on as like the judgment is here, like the judgment towards this group in this country. If you didn't figure it out with George Floyd, like is here and it's gonna get progressive. That's how I see it. But what do you think the consequences are that you've seen or picked up or were channeled?
So the reason any of us are here are twofold: for life mastery, mastering ourselves, mastering, our lessons, and also love. We're here to love. We're here to learn how to love. So if they keep going against that, you will not get mastery. You will not get mastery. You will come to a reckoning and you will not have love. If you hate someone, I mean, we all know love and hate cannot occupy the same space. If you still have hate in your heart for someone, if you're still trying to hold someone back, you will not get the love, not the real love, So yeah, I definitely do believe that it's a spiritual reckoning right now. But aside from the rays, we're feeling the divine feminine returning, the divine feminine reawakening. And what that means is the crumbling of everything that whole patriarchal, that whole white male supremacy, all that stuff is crumbling. All their systems will continue to crumble. all of their all the lies will continue to crumble. Like you'll see more and more channelers like you and I writing books,
Speak it out,
speaking it out, getting on podcasts. You'll see more and more synchronicity. Like I had this dream and then you had this dream, and we, but in a mass effect.
Yeah, and everyone's like, Lisa, I just was thinking about the divine feminine, right? Like I'm speaking out on my truths, and all of a sudden everyone from all others are like, oh my gosh, I was just looking for information because I just woke up with this idea that I needed to get it. And like that's that divine feminine energy here, and you were receptive to get started, know?
But what I want everyone to be very clear on, it's not like they're in the dark and they don't know. They study this stuff more than we have studied.
I tell them they are not. They
know about ley lines and where they put the ghettos, where they push people. It's all because they have the information. They know certain ley lines they need to be on. The whole design of some of our cities, like Washington, D.C., rested on this secret knowledge, the metaphysics, the hidden, the occult. So they knew that if you don't put Kamala Harris in office, there's trouble for you.
Yeah.
There's judgment coming for you. If you don't, and they do it as little.
Yeah, the bare minimum.
Bare as little as they possibly can to be in some kind of obedience. But if you don't tip the scales of justice and return these people's land, this ancestral land, trouble is coming for you.
That's
so
what I see. That is what
a little bit of you'll see a little bit of social movement. You'll see a little more African American, Black people, brown people owning property. You'll see, okay, real estate is booming here. Why is that? Because they're like, okay, let me be a little bit, obedient.
Minimum.
But
that's why you see what's going on in 2020 and 2021. I think there's been more movement in the last couple of years than in 50, right? I mean, in different ways. And I think openly and socially, right? With social awareness and social crumbling of a lot of barriers and a lot of blinders that were on, I think.
Well, 2020 was a game changer. Astrologically, 2020 was a game changer. We didn't know, of course, how much it would change things. But here we are in 2021, and it's all about change and freedom. Like, this is it. And it's just going to continue to flood in. Things are going to rapidly change in ourselves, but also, externally. And that's why, so there are two things that we're here to overcome as the blue and violet ray. We have the illusion and we have adversity. When they try to kill us, they kill us with illusion and they kill us with adversity. They saddle us down so much with you can't live here and you can't get this loan, that all we can focus on is our lower nature, our survival, our lower chakras, the root and that sort of thing. And so to try to keep us from, but it's just
I tell people they know what's going on.
They know.
Up and focus in instead of going, well, maybe if we keep voting and maybe if we keep asking and maybe we keep, they know. Yeah. You don't know. Okay. And they're going to continue. To me, it's like they're going to continue to treat you like children as long as you're looking to them for change.
Right. As long as you
instead of looking inside.
Exactly.
Within our community. And I've always said, listen, I've doubled down on Blackness just in my own personal life, understanding what it meant, what our history is, in my where I live, even my business. I target Black professionals, and I keep being rewarded. And I do that, and I say that very loudly to show we don't have to look to them for solutions, because low key they already know. They just like us being on the bottom because they don't want to be on the bottom. They know how hard it is. And and what you're saying is like that the awareness, like we have to look inside, because I mean it is deliberate. Institutionalized racism is something we have studied and have the numbers on because it keeps us here. it doesn't let us come into our power when we're focused on those lower level things.
Right. Yeah. So when you're focused on survival, you don't even think about, okay, let me just sit quietly and meditate and get my next steps. Like, bump that. I got to find out how to get food on the table. I have to find out how to keep the roof over my children's head. So it's very deliberate. Another thing that's very deliberate is the divide and conquer that I talked about. So teaching other races, all of that anti-Blackness was taught.
Yeah, programmed.
It was programmed. It was colonized. When I think about like the Dominican Republic, before America got there, the Dominican Republic didn't even have a concept of race. They were just all Dominicans. And the US said specifically, oh no, you are to treat the Haitians like this. They're beneath you because they're darker than you.
And they're really good at exporting that. They're really good at exporting that. Like, whoa, nope.
Right.
This one gets better treatment than that one. And then they follow suit. And then all of a sudden, that's part of like, I like this hierarchy and class thing, you know? Because at least I'm not at the bottom.
Right. But as they're looking at the person on the bottom, everything valuable is being stolen from them. Because they had bounty before, they had abundance before, naturally. But then they were over here, you know, in the game, playing the game, and everything's stolen. So everyone is just like bamboozled. And so 2020, 2021 is the end of that. It spanked us so bad.
The truth.
It spanked us so bad. We have no choice but to listen. You know, our intuitions are blossoming open. Our spiritual ears are opening. So many of us are just becoming wiser, more attuned, more open to the truth. Because I'm not one of the people who say, you know, just forget the church. You know, I see value in that, but I see value in knowing the full truth.
Yes. So when I talk about the church, like, listen, I go to church. I just can't tell them all the things I do because I'd get stoned. But like I'm very deep spiritually. Like I'm like, you know, there's like the Bible, though I read it, it has truth. The words are not every word. Don't want to get in an argument with it. But most of it is very accurate. I just have an internal sense when I'm reading it. I'm like, that's not like my spirit, but like that's not. Yeah. But the rest, most of it really is. So I always want to say to people who are very religious who are listening to this, listen, like there's truth in your religion. I would just like to say maybe, but there's also truth outside of it, and be open to be able to blend both, and with your discernment, be able to see what's true or not. You have the ability of discernment, right? It doesn't have to be just all or nothing, because that's not even life. That's not even how. Nothing's all or nothing in this world. It's all about balance. It's all about the yin yang.
Yeah.
So we have a few more minutes. Do you want to go to the other rays? Because I just think it's so interesting. Because there's a diverse enough audience here where they might get tickled by what you were able to channel about the purpose. And it's so important to know our purpose. Like I know my purpose to a T. So, people look at me how strong I am, but I'm like, once you can't tell me anything. I'm supported as long as I'm walking in it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be supported. So you're like, did she just say that? Yes, because I know why I'm here. And I know it's going to be okay. I came here to say that, regardless of what the consequences might be.
Yeah.
So can you go into the different races and
let's talk about it. You said races or rays?
Rays.
So ray 3 is all about active intelligence. So a ray 3, that would be the Atlanteans. So a ray 3 person is like a really philosophical person. They get their truth from the study of life. Okay, so ray 3 is active intelligence. Ray 4 is harmony and beauty. So, and that's governed by Serapis Bey. So a ray 4 person would be the artist, would be like I don't know, any artist you can think of who they receive God through beauty. They receive God through poetry and magic and all that stuff.
And they can shake a room by drawing the right artistry or the right photograph at the right time. They can move nations. They can move the globe.
Absolutely.
And FYI, economically, I went to these art banquets and they showed side by side this. So sometimes people who are engineers get a little too uppity, and they showed side by side during the Great Depression or during any bad economic city, the cities or towns that had the theater or this or like it's movies, theater, or an active artist communities were consistently always like the cities that thrived because everyone gravitated towards them. It was electric. So if you ever, so I understand it from an economic point, how important the artists are, because everyone's soul will gravitate towards those points and they will always survive. Like even if there was an apocalypse, if there's a square where the artists were singing and dancing, that would be the square everyone would travel to. So it's just an economic tidbit that's been proven on how important arts and the artists are of all sorts.
Yeah. And in every culture, we see how important the art is between relationship with us and the divine.
Yeah.
Okay. So ray 5 is the ray of concrete science. So these people,
my ex-husband. Nerd.
Yeah. So these people, they want proof. They want scientific proof. These are obviously your scientists, or maybe even like your surgeons, your physicians.
Yeah. They don't believe any of what I'm saying.
Nah.
Like, you can't channel. You can't. I'm like,
no. And so the master of this ray is Master Hilarion. And then ray 6, which is one of my favorite rays, even though, when it shows up in a shadow, it's annoying as hell. These are the Make America Great. These are the my oven. These are the I'm against whatever you do, and my principles are more important than your personal freedom.
Hey.
Yeah.
They stormed the Capitol building, and I'm like, when are you gonna do it? Y'all keep taking these peanuts. Listen, at least they're saying I'm not going to take peanuts. We do it right, or we do it right in their way, or or they're willing to take action. So I know so many people were like, "Oh, I'm so disgusted." I was like, "Why aren't you disgusted and marching with them?" But another story.
Yes. So this is ruled by Lady Nada. She's one of the female masters who I love, and Jesus, beloved Jesus Christ. And then ray 7, the Omega ray, that is about what I said, freedom and mercy and justice, but it's also about magic and ceremonial order. So if you think about ceremonies, rituals, alchemists, healers, all of those things, that is a 7th ray person. And also, this is the ray of the violet flame. So if you don't know what the violet flame is, it is a gift that we got from Saint Germain, who is an ascended master, who's actually the sponsor of this ray. He gave it to us to change anything. You burn up, and this is a whole nother podcast.
I call in the violet flame if I need to transform.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'll picture the purple, and I can feel it because I feel energy. But amazing when you know how to tap into that power.
Yeah. So there you have it, the transmutation of the violet flame, and it will burn away anything. So yeah, those are the rays. So like I was describing them, they can be personalities or they can be God aspects, so we can go into the personalities later, but it's really fascinating when you see who the avatars are for the ray. For example, for ray number 3, which is our active intelligence, it would be someone like a Jeff Bezos, someone who, use their intelligence to create this thing.
Yeah, they work, they do. It's not just in their head. They are all action, and they're showing you what you can create when you combine the two. Because some people with the spirituality just wait for it to come. And I'm like, no, baby, you got to put that masculine energy into it.
Right. And so it's very interesting.
What you wanted, so we're going to head to a close, but what you said that I thought was amazing, I just wanted to say was like, you won't get love. Your consequences is that they don't get love. Mm-hmm. And that's such a word that, because I'm an angelic medium, I do healings and I channel the archangels through me. Mm-hmm. And every now and then, Jesus, like the spiritual being Jesus, will step forward. Not all the time, mm-hmm. but when he does, it's the most incredible feeling of love I've ever felt in my life. Mm-hmm. And it is so beautiful. It makes me feel so good that if there's a song and it has Jesus in it, I'll cry mm-hmm. because of how it felt. And I talk to people who are religious who, maybe you had a really deep prayer, you felt that love, so you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the spiritual side, right? Like just asking, requesting to see if he'll come in. I actually have one video. It's a coronavirus healing video that he set forward. So if anybody wants to feel like what that love feels like, every time you do that healing, you can feel it again. Mm-hmm. But so I just want to say, people don't always understand what that means, but I just wanted to say personally, it is the most amazing feeling of going back to who we truly were. And it feels so good. You'll cry every time you think about it. And, I'm a strong woman and whatnot, but it's an amazing, and I didn't know what that kind of spiritual divine love was mm-hmm. until he stepped forward, because, I'm working in my purpose. I'm doing my actions. So then he was willing to step forward a few times in my healings I was doing for other people. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say, guys, like, if you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about, but it is absolutely indescribable. So for them saying you're not experiencing that, you don't know what you're missing. Mm-hmm. But I want to tell you, it's one of the greatest feelings like I've ever felt. Like, I don't know, Nirvana almost, like, and I felt it like a few times. The first few times I just knew I liked it. Mm-hmm. But like the third time I was aware, like, this is love, because I wasn't, I didn't have the consciousness. But then it's this amazing feeling. So, they're only hurting themselves in their refusal to let their spirit guide them versus the indoctrination and programming. Because as everyone says, no one was born with that hate.
Right. But then also, so then they have the love of money or the love of material or whatever it is that you gain when you hold somebody else back. Mm-hmm. And that's, that really is a slow death.
It is. Mm-hmm. So we're going to end on that, because I'm going to be jumping on to do a cryptocurrency workshop. Oh, cool. Yeah, today we're doing exchange coins, and I'm showing them, like, Americans how to get access to different coins, because the corruption, because spiritually, like, the government is a corrupt entity. Mm-hmm. The corruption within it is trying to, like, ban us from the freedom that is cryptocurrency, from the spiritual truth and transparency and the cyclical nature, which is like the law of rhythm that is cryptocurrency. They're trying to dim that so we can stay stuck and dependent on them. So then they can continue to control and manipulate us for their own ends. So we are going into that, and they're trying to do it, but of course they're not going to beat the people. So I'm literally going to show people, this is how we get the coins. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. This is the site you want to go to.
Yeah, I should be sitting on that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me post the link for anybody who wants to join on. That might be too much Lisa for you, but you can sign up here. I'm about to jump right off and go to that. One second. But yeah, tell us about your book while I'm getting this link set up for everyone.
I brought it with me. So it's called A Fistful of Honey. And you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. A Fistful of Honey.
Can you put comments in? Uh-huh. Can you? If you can, you want to put a link to it?
Yeah, I'll put a link after the broadcast, because.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just gotta get people right when they're paying attention.
Yeah, I wish I had.
Let me go ahead and find it real quick, and then I'll put the link in the comments. But any questions or comments before we jump on off from anyone? And thank everyone who participated and commented on this. My internet's slow. StreamYard is sort of fun. Let me buy your book to read.
I'll be 1 second.
Karen's fault. Yes, Karen, you'll like it. You'll like that. Fistful of honey. Fistful of honey. There we go. Oh, it's such a beautiful cover.
Oh. I'm just now seeing all the comments. Hi, everyone.
Oh, you can see them?
Now I can. I was on the private.
Wrote it down. Thank you, ladies. This is such a beautiful, touching topic. Caitlin, thank you for participating. It's not surface level, but I will tell you, if you trust me, this is truth we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not truth you're going to find everywhere else. Like, these truths are coming through those, and me and Malena have done the work, okay? Like, we spend our days in meditation and ascension and what do I need to do next, and learning the lessons and asking for guidance when we don't learn the lesson. So, you know, if you trust me, like, this is truth. It's not so easy sometimes, depending on how you've been indoctrinated to accept it. So thank you for being open. Where do you find information about the rays? Well, this video, if you want to go back and re-watch what we did, but also, Malena, you wrote basically about them through your fictional story, correct?
Mm-hmm. You can also look up Theosophy. I'll write in the comments to learn more about the rays. You're not going to get the real deal, though, especially when it comes to African people, Black people. But yeah, you can start there. Who else? Elizabeth Clare Prophet like a prophet, Prophet. 7 rays. So, and I'll be happy to find some more, if I can find some more resources for you.
Where can they reach you if they want to get in touch with your femininity healing? Because hey, it'll start and end with us as melanated Black women.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. We're the alpha and omegas. We're going to be the ones that, I mean, you see, with our entrepreneurial spirit, with our ability to get things done, with our academics, our search for education, it's like, if it's not clear to you, it's going to start and end with us. And not just us, I like to say, with healers like me and Malena. Yes, we're very strong alpha women, but we're also taking that time to be able to go, well, how do we bring all that alphaness, but bring it in a healing way to the people who might listen to us? And some of you guys are the same healers, and you have that place and purpose as well. So any like want to put in the comments, any social media or anything?
They can go to my website, malenacrawford.com. In fact, I'm starting up a group program for transformation, which is my absolute passion. So we'll talk about using all of these tools we talked about, but in a practical way. And then all my social media is at Malena Crawford. So Instagram, Twitter at Malena Crawford, although I don't tweet too much over there.
Not yet.
And okay, so this is long. The Black Divine Feminine Reawakened.
Okay.
The Black Divine Feminine Reawakened. Please go there. Please sign up. Male, female, it doesn't matter. You could get a great, my prayer for that page was everybody that engages with it, that you feel some sort of inspiration daily. So a lot of people really love that page. It's got 70,000 followers right now. Tune in, because I also want to start doing some talks on YouTube and Clubhouse after we do the post.
We're gonna have to do some of those together. I love that it's Black Divine Feminine, and I just want to put it out there for people who think they know what the feminine is. What I found the Divine Feminine to be is hugely healing energy and hugely giving people space to be who they are, with also keeping your boundaries. And I also found it that my emotional intelligence, something I've always admired in other people, but it's very reactionary. And I was like, how do they just stay calm in this situation? Divine Feminine is the emotional intelligence. And we all know emotional intelligence is what is going to surpass you way more than your average intelligence. And you don't even have to be IQ smart, but if you have emotional intelligence, you can work the room. And I'm finding through my journey, for those who don't know what Divine Feminine is, like, if I had to encapsulate it, it is boundaries, it's being true to you, but it's also being very highly emotionally intelligent.
Yes.
So that is what the benefit has been to me for those who, the Black Divine Feminine Reawakened.
Yes.
Sorry, I misspelled the link. So, all right, I got to jump off and go to this workshop. But thank everyone who joined. I hope this was valuable for you guys. We will be back for more. So if you're watching my Facebook page, listen, I'm just going to be like, look at my ticker. If I put angelic healer and medium, then it's spiritual. If I put real estate investor and cryptocurrency investor, then it's business. Pick and choose whichever Lisa you would like at that moment. Okay. Some of you guys can handle both. Some are like, I don't know about that magic stuff. So let me just stay over here on the business and get these coins. And I'm okay with that because that is your journey. Okay. All right, Malena, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful, wonderful evening.